Why do some men stay calm, respected, and unshaken, while others get dragged through endless games, losing themselves piece by piece? The answer is not chance. It is knowledge. And the knowledge I'm about to give you will change everything. Once you understand how certain relationship dynamics work, you become much harder to manipulate. You stop allowing affection to be used as a reward, stop reacting to emotional games, and start making decisions from clarity rather than fear. Stay with me, because I'm going to reveal 5 truths that will end the games forever and put you back in control of your life. Number 1, the difference between conditional and true love. Many men enter relationships believing that hearing, "I love you," means being accepted completely, the good, the bad, the weaknesses, the failures, and everything in between. They imagine love as something permanent and unconditional, like a flame that never goes out regardless of circumstances. But real relationships are often more complicated. A person's feelings can be controlled by circumstances, expectations, compatibility, security, and the way both partners contribute to the relationship. Affection may change when financial circumstances become difficult, attention decreases, or the excitement of a new relationship fades. Think about what happens when your circumstances change. Does her attitude remain consistent when you have less money, less time, or less energy to give? Does the warmth remain when the excitement of the early relationship disappears? Those changes can reveal that some of the affection you interpreted as unconditional may actually have been connected to particular circumstances. That doesn't automatically make someone cruel or dishonest. Human relationships naturally involve needs, expectations, boundaries, and conditions. The important thing is recognizing that reality instead of building your entire life around an idealized version of love. The biggest mistake many men make is giving without limits. They invest enormous amounts of time, energy, money, loyalty, and attention while assuming that their sacrifices will automatically be returned in equal measure. But sacrifice does not guarantee reciprocity. A man can give everything he has and still discover that the relationship is no longer working. When that happens, he may wonder, why wasn't everything I did enough? The problem isn't necessarily that expectations existed. The problem is failing to recognize them until you're already emotionally exhausted. Many men become attached to the belief that their level of devotion must determine the other person's level of devotion. When that expectation isn't met, they experience disappointment as betrayal. Instead of giving blindly, observe. Instead of being persuaded by promises alone, pay attention to consistent behavior. Don't evaluate someone's commitment only by how they treat you when everything is going well. Pay attention to how they respond when life becomes difficult, when you are struggling, or when you have less to offer. That's where genuine clarity begins. You may discover that some of what you interpreted as unconditional devotion was actually appreciation for your stability, gratitude for what you provided, attraction to your consistency, or comfort in the security you created. Recognizing that doesn't mean becoming cynical about love. It means becoming more discerning. And once you learn to distinguish genuine connection from affection that depends heavily on circumstances, you become far less likely to lose yourself trying to earn someone's love. Number 2, the power of your attention. Most men fail to understand how valuable their attention really is. They give it away freely to anyone who catches their interest, as if it costs them nothing. But attention is a limited resource, and what you consistently give your attention to receives a portion of your energy, focus, and influence. Every message you send, every compliment you give, every conversation you have, and every moment you spend focused on someone carries value. The problem begins when a man becomes deeply interested in a woman and starts overwhelming her with attention. He texts her constantly, reacts to everything she posts, compliments every little thing, and makes himself available at all hours. He may believe he's simply expressing genuine interest. But excessive attention can eventually lose its impact. When something is constantly available, people can begin to take it for granted. Many women enjoy being desired and appreciated, and attention can certainly feel good. But receiving endless validation doesn't necessarily create deeper attraction or emotional investment. Sometimes, it simply becomes something familiar and expected. Think about the man who is always calling, always responding immediately, and always chasing. Because his presence is guaranteed, there is little opportunity for her to wonder about him, miss him, or make an effort to maintain the connection. Now consider what happens when that constant stream of attention disappears. Silence suddenly becomes noticeable. His absence creates space for curiosity. She may begin wondering why he isn't reaching out or what has captured his attention elsewhere. The lesson isn't to manipulate someone by deliberately ignoring them. It's to understand that selective attention has greater value than unlimited attention. When you become intentional about where you invest your time and energy, your presence carries more meaning. Your compliments become more sincere. Your time feels valuable because you aren't handing it out indiscriminately. And this isn't about playing games or trying to punish someone. It's about respecting yourself enough to stop investing heavily in people who give little in return. When your attention is no longer something you desperately use to earn someone's approval, the entire dynamic changes. You stop trying to convince someone of your worth, and you begin focusing on building a life that already has value. Invest in your goals. Develop your skills. Take care of your body. Build your career. Strengthen your finances. Improve your mind. The more you build yourself, the less dependent you become on another person's validation. And when your attention comes from a man who already has purpose and direction, it naturally becomes more meaningful. Number 3, emotional control. For generations, many men have been taught to show love through emotional reactions. If she becomes distant, chase harder. If she pulls away, increase your effort. If she becomes angry, respond with even more intensity. And if she threatens to leave, panic and beg her to stay. That mindset can turn a man into a prisoner of his own emotions. One of the greatest forms of influence in any relationship is the ability to trigger another person's emotional reactions. Anger, jealousy, insecurity, and fear can all become sources of leverage when they are left unchecked. If someone knows that ignoring you will make you desperate, they can use distance to provoke you. If they know jealousy makes you lose control, they can exploit it. If they know you're terrified of abandonment, they can use the threat of leaving to make you surrender your boundaries. Every predictable reaction gives another person information about how to influence you. But everything changes when you develop emotional discipline. When someone's silence no longer sends you into panic, when their changing moods don't destroy your peace, and when the possibility of losing them doesn't cause you to abandon your principles, you become much harder to manipulate. That doesn't mean becoming cold or emotionless. Emotional strength isn't about suppressing feelings. It's about experiencing those feelings without allowing them to control your decisions. Anger without discipline becomes destructive. Jealousy without restraint exposes insecurity. And begging someone to stay can turn genuine love into desperation. Imagine that she walks away expecting you to chase after her. Instead, you remain composed. She gives you the silent treatment, expecting you to panic and bombard her with messages. You continue living your life without losing your balance. She threatens to leave expecting you to beg. You calmly recognize that a relationship without mutual respect isn't something you need to cling to at any cost. That is emotional control. And emotional control creates something powerful, respect. Strength isn't measured by how loudly a man can shout or how intensely he can react. It's demonstrated by how steady he remains when circumstances are designed to provoke him. A grounded man doesn't allow another person's emotions to dictate his behavior. He can care deeply without becoming dependent. He can love someone without losing himself. He can feel anger without becoming reckless, and he can experience fear without surrendering his dignity. The goal isn't to become emotionless. The goal is to become emotionally disciplined. When you can remain calm under pressure, maintain your boundaries, and refuse to be dragged into unnecessary emotional chaos, you become far more difficult to control. And that kind of inner stability is one of the strongest forms of confidence a man can possess. Number 4, the reality of options. From an early age, many men absorb the idea that women are the prize and that a man must constantly chase, impress, and prove himself worthy of a woman's attention. That mindset can create desperation. When a man believes one particular woman is his only opportunity for love, he becomes terrified of losing her. He starts tolerating disrespect, accepting poor treatment, lowering his standards, and settling for the smallest amount of affection simply because he fears ending up alone. But there is another reality: men have options too. The difference is that a man's options are often something he must deliberately create. A woman may receive attention simply by entering a room, but a man's opportunities tend to grow through what he builds over time. He develops his body through discipline. He strengthens his career through years of effort. He becomes financially independent by making smart decisions. He improves his social skills, confidence, character, and sense of purpose. Those things create possibilities. A man who refuses to develop himself can easily become trapped in scarcity. When he believes he has nothing else to offer and nowhere else to go, he becomes overly dependent on whoever happens to be in his life. But a man who continuously invests in himself knows that his value isn't fixed. It grows as he grows. That understanding completely changes how he approaches relationships. Consider what happens when you believe one woman is the only person who could ever love you. You'll probably tolerate behavior you would normally reject. You'll excuse disrespect, accept minimal effort, and overlook unhealthy patterns because the fear of losing her feels greater than the cost of staying. But when you understand that your future isn't dependent on one individual, desperation disappears. You become willing to leave situations that consistently diminish you because you know your life can continue without that particular relationship. Options create freedom, and freedom gives you the ability to choose rather than cling. This is also why confidence can be attractive. A man who isn't terrified of losing someone carries himself differently. He doesn't desperately hold on because he knows that walking away from an unhealthy situation is always possible. The goal isn't to collect endless romantic options or manipulate someone by pretending you don't care. The real goal is to build such a strong life that you never believe you have to sacrifice your dignity simply to keep someone beside you. Number 5. Self-respect. Many men enter relationships willing to sacrifice almost everything: time, money, energy, attention, and devotion, while forgetting to protect the one thing they should never surrender: their self-respect. They allow attraction to override their standards. They place romantic desire above their dignity and allow physical attraction to weaken boundaries that should remain firm. Eventually, they may find themselves giving away their principles just to keep someone close. A man without self-respect becomes vulnerable to being controlled. If someone knows you'll tolerate lies, broken promises, insults, manipulation, or repeated disrespect because you're afraid of losing them, there is little incentive for that behavior to change. And once you repeatedly abandon your own standards, you teach others how you're willing to be treated. The uncomfortable truth is that you cannot build a healthy relationship while constantly betraying yourself. You can buy expensive gifts, make sacrifices, write beautiful messages, and give someone endless attention. But none of those things can compensate for abandoning your dignity just to prevent someone from leaving. Love should involve devotion, but it should never require self-destruction. Now consider the opposite kind of man. He establishes boundaries. Not because he wants to control others, but because he understands what he will and will not accept. He doesn't tolerate constant insults, humiliation, manipulation, betrayal, or deliberate disrespect. He doesn't give everything to someone who treats him as an afterthought. And he doesn't accept a one-sided relationship where he is expected to provide complete devotion while receiving minimal effort in return. That doesn't make him heartless or arrogant. It means he understands his own worth. And there's an important paradox here: when you stop placing desire above self-respect, you often become more confident and attractive. Your words carry greater credibility because you actually live by your principles. Your boundaries mean something because you are willing to enforce them. Your presence becomes stronger because you aren't constantly seeking approval. You don't have to demand respect when your behavior demonstrates that you respect yourself. Self-respect also changes the way relationships develop. When you establish healthy standards, the other person has a choice: meet those standards or move on. If they rise to the occasion, you gain a relationship built on mutual respect. If they refuse and leave, you still walk away with your dignity intact. Either outcome is better than remaining somewhere that slowly destroys your confidence. Without self-respect, however, the cycle becomes destructive. You begin excusing behavior that once would have been unacceptable. You rationalize dishonesty. You normalize disrespect. You convince yourself that suffering is simply part of love. Eventually, you may lose more than the relationship. You may lose your identity. That's the real danger of abandoning your standards for someone else. The awakening comes when you understand that self-respect is the foundation beneath everything else. Once you value yourself, you become more selective with your attention because you stop wasting it. You gain greater control over your emotions because you refuse to let another person's behavior dictate your state of mind. Your options expand because you no longer accept whatever comes your way. And most importantly, your love becomes healthier because you give it freely, not because you're terrified of being alone. You don't love from desperation. You love from choice.